Janine Money Stories.
Brought to you by Amy and Ben from In Financial Services. Today we're joined by Amy Harris. Amy is a business owner and has recently started down the path of property investing and renovating. All right, we're here to start our third episode. Today we've got a really exciting episode, and it's a bit different. And do you want me to tell you why it's exciting?
Well, I feel like it's exciting because I'm here.
Yeah, well, that is definitely one of the reasons why it's exciting. But another reason is...
I'm taking a driving seat.
Yeah. And another reason is why you're there.
I know, and it's because guess who is our guest for the day?
Who's our guest?
It is Amy Harris.
Do you guys realise you actually haven't introduced yourselves? Like, who are the people speaking?
Okay, should we start again then?
No, it's good.
Is that needed?
Leave it in the remix. Yeah, come on, tell the people who you are.
All right. Well, I'm Ben. I've been here every episode so far. So if you've listened to episode 1 and 2, then you'll know who I am.
And I am Janine. I've only been here for the last episode because I was over in the box seat where Amy is last episode.
Janine was our second guest.
I did the money story as second guest, yeah.
So if you want to get to know a bit more about Janine, then
go back
to the last episode, and we'll go through Janine's money story and chat to her a bit about her journey.
But today's day is Amy's day.
Today is Amy's day.
In the hot seat, we're doing a little remix.
Yeah. But before we get to Amy's money story, what are we doing for the rest of the week, guys?
Well, we've got a busy week this week, all three of us actually.
We definitely do, yeah.
We're going away and doing our business development meetings or business development conference.
So for those of you that don't know, our business is a mortgage broking business, and it's a family business. So Janine's the director, Ben is the lead broker, and then I kind of handle all things marketing, business development. And we do a business coaching session where we go and attend quarterly reviews of the business and how we're going, and we plan out our goals and everything for the whole year.
Yeah, so this one that we're going up, it's up at the Gold Coast, and we get to basically assess what's happened over the last 3 months. Have we ticked off all the different goals and things that we wanted to achieve, and where are we basically at? So just getting there and just checking in to make sure that we're on track with everything we're wanting to get to.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is just setting those goals. And although we are doing that for a business, like on a business level, it's also good to set goals on a personal level as well.
Yeah, you definitely have to set goals on a personal level. If you don't get there and set your goals, well, you're just not going to achieve it.
Well, yeah, if you don't know
what you're trying to achieve,
you will never achieve it. Yeah,
and
exactly.
What was your personal goal this quarter? And how did you go?
My personal goal was a health-related goal, or like a weight loss-related goal and a muscle gain-related goal. I don't know if I'm on track to achieve it, but I also haven't been tracking whether I am going to achieve it, so I don't really know.
Yeah, so what that means is that you didn't do a good job of it, did you?
I did not do a good job of it, but it also shows that you should have goals, but you also need to track your numbers to get to those goals.
Yeah, well, but if you're going to have a goal, you actually need to get there and monitor the goal and make sure that you keep following through on it. And because if you don't follow through on it, you'll never get there.
Yeah.
Janine, did you have a personal goal this quarter?
No, I didn't. But I used to get there and write down every year. I'd come up with 10 different things I wanted to tick off on my bucket list and go through them. And then, like, when you go back and look at it, it's so amazing because once you write it down and you've got it on a list, even if you're not actually visiting it, every single month, it just seems like somehow your brain just knows I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So there's some really good ones on there that I achieved, like going to America. So many different options on there that have been ticked off, which is really cool.
That's the same for me. I didn't have one as a personal goal, but I did write a 30 before 30 list, and my birthday was this quarter for 29, so I've got a year to complete this list.
Yeah.
And I've been ticking stuff off that. And one to note, which was really fun, is we did a sleepover with our cousins at our grandparents' house, and it made their whole year.
Yeah, so, Nan loved it. Yeah,
and it was also awesome for the cousins to get together.
And it was nice, so nice to get there and think like that you're you're doing exactly the same thing as what you did when you were a kid. Now you're doing it as an adult. It
was a
made the
core
family's
memory
day.
for sure. And I wouldn't have done that if I didn't put it on that list. So
Yeah.
have a list, have a goal. It's a great idea.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the money story then. Amy, are you excited to share your money story?
I'm a bit nervous, actually. I'm a bit in the hot seat today.
Yeah.
You are in the hot seat.
Yes.
Why are you nervous?
I don't know. I feel like I'm just really outing myself in this one. So it'll be interesting to see the response that we get.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Cool. Well, here's your money story. So
Thank you, Fazadova, the Money Stories book.
Okay, now if you want to open up the book and read your story to us, that will be amazing. So
You guys don't know my story, do you?
over to you, Amy Harris.
You've
I'd
never
love
heard it
to
before.
Hear the third money story in our book.
Alrighties, strap in.
Let's
it
do
away.
it.
Okay. Imagine being a full-time uni student, barely any savings, and a part-time job. Now imagine going from that to owning multiple properties and over $700,000 in just a few years. Sounds impossible? Let me take you on that journey. What do we think so far?
Yeah, I'd like to go on that journey.
In my early 20s, saving money wasn't on my radar. I was busy living life, travelling, having fun with friends, saying yes to every opportunity, studying for my degrees and working part-time. Savings was one of those things I knew I should do, but it never felt urgent. Then COVID hit and everything changed. The world shut down and everything that I was doing stopped. Take a breath.
Well, everyone took a breath through COVID.
It was a big thing. Around that time, I remember the government introducing extra grants for home builders to stimulate the construction industry. I mentioned it casually to my mum, a mortgage broker, thinking it was great news for her clients and her business. But she surprised me by saying, "Why don't you use these grants?" I laughed it off at first. How could I possibly, a uni student with almost no savings and a single income, buy a home? But she didn't let it go. That same day, we started researching, making calls, and figuring out if it was even possible. By the end of the week, I had put down a $5,000 deposit on a block of land. It felt surreal. A few days earlier, I didn't even think it was on the horizon. I was lucky enough to be in a privileged position where my mum was able to gift me $40,000 to help me get started in the property market, which felt like a massive responsibility for me. This, partnered with the grants and the small savings I did have, helped me to secure a home loan. At first, I struggled with the idea of accepting help. Up until this point in my life, I had done everything myself and I was really proud of that. I started working and paying for my own stuff since I was 14. I bought my own car and I supported myself to move overseas. Asking for help with major life things just wasn't really in my nature. But I knew the best time to act on the property market was now, and that this was the path I needed to go down to be able to get my foot in the door. So off I went. I built my first house and suddenly was responsible for something bigger than myself for the first time in my life. When property values rose, I knew I needed to act and make something bigger out of the head start that I was given. I was determined to use my privilege to its full advantage and not let my mum's help or faith in me go to waste. Not long after, I took a bold risk and decided to use the equity built up in the home to become a property investor. I signed a contract for an off-the-plan $1 million investment property while earning just $45,000 a year. I knew that I had 2 years until the build would be done, and by that time I would need to grow my income to $110,000 to be able to afford the place and service the loan. It was terrifying and seemed impossible, but I hustled hard at work, taking on new jobs, completing my master's degree to make myself more qualified, and going for every promotion available. So the risk paid off. In just 4 years, both properties appreciated significantly, and I turned that initial $40,000 into over $700,000. I've since used that equity to buy a home on a large block, which I'm now subdividing and developing, and I've got another off-the-plan project in the pipeline for afterwards. This journey has completely transformed my life, and I'm forever thankful for the head start I was given. The money you're able to generate through property investment is unlike anything you could ever make saving at your day job. It's not just about the money. For me, it's about living a life that feels true to who I am. The money generated through property has given me time freedom, allowed me to travel, follow my passions, spend time with loved ones, and build a future that excites me. I'm not one of those major success stories. I don't own dozens of properties, and I'm nowhere near retired yet. My money story is all about taking that first leap and proving that big changes start with small steps, saying yes to opportunities and not being afraid to ask and receive help along the way. If you've ever wondered how people get ahead in life, the answer is simple. They take action. So I challenge you, be curious, have conversations, think outside the box and take that first step. You never know where it might lead. The end.
Wow.
That's a big story.
That is a huge story.
That took a lot of breath to get through.
I think one of the big things that stands out to me initially with that story, and you sort of touched on it at the end, but you probably didn't really know where to start or if you even could start. But it was more about finding those people around you, asking the right questions and taking that first step.
Yeah.
And that got you to where you are today or started your journey basically.
Yeah, and it was crazy because it went from nothing to something so substantial. I know $700,000 isn't a crazy amount of money, but
it also is.
But it also is, and it only happened in 3 years.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah, try and save $700,000 and then you'll realise how crazy $700,000 is.
Yeah,
so
and
true.
You're still doing more stuff now, so that's still growing as well.
Yeah, that's so true.
Okay, Amy, so there's been there's a lot in your story and I just wanted to basically go back to the start if that's okay, and we'll just now start asking a few different questions in relation.
Sorry, it was a very long story.
Yeah, let's unpack it.
Yeah.
Lots to unpack,
Yeah, so I suppose reflecting back on right at the start of the journey, what was your mindset at that time, and what were your initial doubts when your mum said, hey, or when I said, hey, let's go and get there and use that grant and let's go out and find you a property?
Yeah, so many things come to mind, and I think the first one that really jumps out at me is I knew that to get a loan you would have to go through my whole bank account. And it was COVID, so I was doing lots of online shopping. I had an Afterpay account and I was really scared for you to see that and I would get in trouble. So that was probably one of my initial doubts. And then obviously I'm not a saver, as you guys know, so I knew that if I did undertake this responsibility, obviously you get the grants to help you with the deposit, but then you have to service the loan yourself and pay back that loan yourself, which I knew that I'd have to be making $400 a week payment that I've never saved before.
Yeah.
So that was quite scary to think about too.
Well, it is daunting when you get there and you first start down that path, because it is something that is an unknown and you do have to get there and make sure that you have the ability to make those repayments. So is there a different way that you would have done it that would have been a little bit not as scary?
No, I don't think so. I think the fact that I had my parents' support, so your support with getting the loan and you backing me, showing me that I guess I can do it and that you believe that I can do it.
Yeah.
That really helped, because I knew that if I failed and I didn't make them payments, I wasn't just letting myself down, I was letting you down, which is even worse. I hate letting other people down. But I'm still very much not a saver in day-to-day life. But now it's in my brain I've got two different baskets. I've got my spending account, which my income from my job goes to, and then my investing accounts, which is all the property stuff. And I do not touch that property stuff.
Yeah.
I'm anal with it. I'm even better than Ben. And Ben's a saver. So, and then my normal income, I'm I see it, I like it, I want it, I buy everything. No rules on that account.
That's good.
And you mentioned that accepting help was pretty tough for you, to begin with. So do you want to talk a bit about how your approach to that shaped how you take risk or how you take responsibility?
Yeah, it was really tough, I think, because there's such a negative connotation around receiving help getting into the property market. I feel like society views it as, well, you didn't do it by yourself, so everything else and every success that you have is not valid, if you know what I mean.
So that must be your generation, because when, as a mortgage broker, I see so many people needing help
all the time
and getting help. And
but it definitely, there is a lot of people that like think negatively about that, which is weird because like I think the stats say that like over 60% of people do use the bank of mum and dad. And whether that be like a deposit in Amy's case or like using equity in their property, there's so many different ways that you can use the bank of mum and dad.
I really don't quite get this or understand this because it really messes with my head. So you're saying that like it's not okay to get help from mum and dad to buy a house, but most people get help from mum and dad to buy their first car, which you didn't do.
I guess like the car's a smaller purchase, but then there's other instances
There's so
like
many other things.
like getting help from a family friend to get a really good paying job, getting your inheritance. Your parents buy you shares and you get paid dividends from that.
Like just parents paying for your wedding.
Yes, so
that's
true.
a perfect example.
Yeah. I remember also just feeling so guilty that, like for my brother, Ben, I watched him save for 4 years, and to do that he like had to work every single weekend to save for that deposit. And then I've seen friends do the same. So I felt so guilty that I was just able to get handed that.
But $40,000 just doesn't turn into $700,000 because someone has gifted you $40,000.
Yeah, I think it's also about what you do off the back of that. Like you can just accept that gift and like do nothing with it.
Yeah.
Or like in your case, you can build on that and really shape your life. Basically.
And I think that's why I really wanted to, because I didn't want it to just be a handout, and I wanted to, I guess, prove myself and prove to you that I was worth your backing.
Well, as a parent, any parent would be happy to, if they have the ability, to give their child something to be able to turn it into, like watch it grow and be turned into so much more. Like any way that I can help your lives, well, I'm all in.
And if you are a parent thinking about, or you're in a position to give your child that head start, I don't think you understand the value that it has on their life and how it changed like the full trajectory of my life. I would still be saving that now.
Yeah.
And I know that like $40,000, it is a lot of money, but to you, it didn't wreck your world giving it now.
No.
And so if you're in a position to be able to do that and give a gift now rather than later, it's so much more beneficial.
Yeah, but that can also come, I suppose, in so many different forms, because you can go down the path of doing a family guarantee where you're just using your home as part security, and so then your child doesn't have to get there and pay mortgage insurance. And so there's so many different ways that a family member now can help children get into the property market.
Yeah, you don't even have to tie up any of like your money. It's just tying up a bit of your equity in your property.
Yeah.
For that, like,
and the bank can come in as second mortgage, so it's not like you even know that it hasn't changed your life in any way.
Yeah.
The only way it would change it is if they then defaulted on that loan, and then you're the one that then has to basically, take up the slack. So just make sure that you're willing to back your child, and you hope and expect them to do the right thing by you.
Yeah, well, that's such a big backing. I think when your parent does do that you don't want to let them down. You are their child after all, that you're trying to do the right thing.
You definitely are, yeah. So how did the experience of building your first home influence your perspective on properties as a tool for building wealth?
Yeah, well, I guess saving is so hard, especially in today's day and age.
Yeah.
And so to go from like having 40 grand to 700,000 in 3 years' time, I think that just shows that you can't just save that. So that gave me a perspective to just wanting to keep doing it.
Yeah. And it is really exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like when you're seeing it work for you, you're like, well, oh God, I want more of this. Like this is really cool. I can't physically go to work and save that amount of money on a weekly basis because it's expensive to live.
Yeah, so it changed my whole mindset. Obviously, I knew I always wanted to get into property because I come from a home where it's regularly talked about, which I'm very grateful for, because I've always known about it and known how it helps you. But yeah, it really did change my life. And once you start doing it, you get hooked.
It's a drug.
It's addictive. Well, making money is addictive, isn't it? So,
Yeah. Well, it's all about, I suppose, just trying to get to that end result as quick as possible and reach those goals, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so you decided to purchase an investment property or purchase a property off the plan just after purchasing your first home.
Mm-hmm.
So what sort of research did you put into that, or did you have any guidance along the way, or what made you make that leap?
Yeah, definitely guidance. So having a team of people around me that were doing the same thing and that I could ask questions to and lean on for any questions. So like a mortgage broker, accountant, financial planner. I'm very lucky to have all that in almost my immediate family. And there's so many times that I will send Ben, for example, my mortgage broker, a video that I see on TikTok about an investment opportunity and say, can I do this? And he says, no. So, yeah, surrounding myself with the right people and then just doing your research on the area and knowing appetite for risk, because there's always a chance that the investment could fail. So knowing if that investment fails, am I happy to lose this money or am I not happy to lose that money? And then, researching the area, like sales in that area to see what you could gain if it does pay off, and then knowing your numbers around how much it's going to cost you in the meantime to see if it's worth it.
Yeah, so it's like really a little side hustle, isn't it? It's a side hustle. So you've seen it is a side hustle. How do you get there and balance the side hustle of the investments, your personal life, and then now that you're also in the business and having to do everything business related? There's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on. Sometimes it does get overwhelming, but never on the property side. I feel like the property side, the side hustle side, is so much fun because it's minimal effort and such a big payoff. So I love the property side. It's the best side hustle ever. So much easier than a business, the day-to-day work that you've got to put into the business. And I'm lucky enough to be able to do that with my family, so it's easy to balance that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'll just one more thing off the back of that, because you're saying that property investing is easy, but sometimes things aren't always easy and things don't always go the way according to plan, and it basically is how do you get there and make sure that you are buying that right investment, and how do you look at all the things like you're saying that you have to do all this research, and how do you evaluate what's a good property versus a risky one, and just tell us what goes through your head associated with all that.
Back to what I said before. So knowing your numbers, what's it going to cost me if I do go down this path, versus what is the expected return? Is it worth my while? What risk does it have? Is it a sure thing or is it not really? And weigh that up on a bit of a scale.
Yeah.
And then having the right people. That's really all you can do. And then it's, I guess, a bit of a winging it game.
Educated risk, yeah.
Educated risk.
And so if someone's not good with numbers, how do they do that?
Well, I'm not good with numbers and I do it. But no, go speak to your broker. They are good with numbers, or your accountant. You don't have to be good at everything. You can lean on the people around you who are good and who do know them things.
Yeah.
And so would that be your one piece of advice to someone that's starting off, or what would be the piece of advice to somebody starting off?
I think my piece of advice for someone starting off is just don't overthink it and just get started. Because you can talk about the numbers and it sounds scary, but most people do own a property.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not an unaccessible
No, we love
thing.
property.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we like the whole idea of property ownership.
Yeah, and you don't need to be wealthy
Yeah.
to do it. It's very accessible. The government tries to make it as accessible as possible. So I think just ask the questions if you're curious and just take the leap and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because if you don't take the leap and you sit back and wait, other people's money is going up. You're just everyone around you that is doing it. They're going up. And while you're sitting there hesitating, you're losing.
Yeah. What do you think a lot of young people misunderstand about the property market?
Yeah.
Or don't really get about the property market?
I've actually seen this a lot with friends, and I think it's you get a really good income because you start out when you finish uni on a really shit income, which sucks. And you've been working so hard. And then you have to work your way up the ranks. Then you get to like your age where you can start to buy a property and everyone's buying property around you. And you just want a nice house. And I think that's the mistake. You don't need to buy $1 million house as your first property, especially if your plan is to make money off it and start to invest. Like you don't need $1 million loan to get started. So I think just don't go for your forever home first up.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. So you weren't a good saver.
No, and I'm still not. I'm still not, but I kind of am. It's weird.
And you did say that you had Afterpay, and yes, you did have that whole Afterpay situation going on.
Yes.
Like if you look back at your whole like journey and seeing that you aren't so good with the whole savings things, do you think that has helped you or hindered you about
definitely.
this whole property investing?
It hasn't like hindered me. Well, I guess it kind of has. If I was doing this journey alone and I didn't have family support, it would have hindered me.
Definitely, yeah.
But I was lucky enough to, be privileged to have that support.
Yeah.
But in my situation, it hasn't hindered me. However, I do think you should learn how to save. It is probably a good idea.
It's a great idea.
And I have closed all my Afterpay accounts. Like as soon as I got the loan, I closed all the Afterpay accounts.
Yeah. Which was great. Thank you for that.
Which is good.
The bank says thank you.
They do. But I do make my loan repayments fine. So yeah.
So life is good.
Life is good. No hinder.
And with your life to date, you've lived overseas, you've obviously then came back and then you studied and you're working part-time and so you then started working full-time, and what do you think that has how do you think that has helped with the whole decision-making and risk-taking? Because just even deciding to be so young and move overseas to London, live there for a 2-year period, that's a pretty big step and decision for somebody that's just off the back of school to make.
Yeah, I think them experiences really helped shape me into a person which have helped with the property investing journey. And I think there's a lot of similarities, however you say that.
Yeah.
Some of my advice in property investing would be say yes to every opportunity that you're given. But obviously if you wait up.
Yeah.
Talk to people and have conversations, and don't be afraid to take a leap. And I've got an example of that when I was young, but from the travelling side of things.
Yeah.
And it was, so I was travelling in the Philippines and I struck up a conversation with this girl, and she was from London, and I told her I'm moving there. She worked in TV. I was like, that's really cool. We should connect when I move there. And then so I did. I reached out to her when I moved, and she offered me a job on her TV production that she was working on. I didn't really think much of it because I was like, what could this possibly be? But I said yes to the opportunity. And then it turned out to be, it was a really cool show. It was James Corden's show before he was big. He was I didn't really know who he was. But yeah, I got to run lines with them in his jokes, which was really cool. And while I was there, he was interviewing One Direction. So there was Niall, Louis, all them people there, which is crazy. And I would have never had the opportunity to be in that room if I didn't first have a conversation with someone and get more detail from them, and not be afraid to ask questions, and then 2, not be afraid to say yes and take a leap.
Yeah. So you like saying yes to opportunities?
I do.
You like travelling?
Yes.
You like spending?
I love spending.
And you like property?
Yes.
What sort of doors has property investing opened or closed for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Opened, definitely the money side of things. I would have never made this much money from my job. And what that money has allowed me to do is, from the first 2 properties, Earlier this year, I was able to quit my corporate job, which I hated. So it was very exciting to quit that. And I was able to come work with you guys and start focusing on our business. And I did 6 months unpaid work for that. So I took like a bit of a sabbatical, I guess, which was quite cool. And I supported myself with the property money through that period. And then I also took my partner overseas for 2 weeks and we travelled New Zealand and we did bougie stuff. Like we went on helicopters, we did all this crazy stuff.
Went and stayed on a little tiny island.
Yeah, I spared no expense. I was like, I'm a baller. So they're definitely
the photos were amazing.
They were. They definitely are the opportunities that property opened, because I would have first never shouted someone a holiday and to never taken 6 months off, because how could I afford to support myself?
Yeah.
But then closing, I guess now I do love traveling, and something that I have moved overseas before, but I was interested in doing that again. And I guess having a mortgage that's owner occupied kind of closed that door for me. But it's not like it couldn't reopen if I went down the investment property stage.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to ask a question that I don't really like asking, but let's do it anyway. Okay.
You're going to out me?
What's next on the property journey? And the reason why I don't like asking is because you have achieved so much in such a little time. And then to turn around and say, well, like, what's next? It's sort of like saying, hey, all of that isn't good enough and I now want to know what's next. But I acknowledge the past and I think...
You're doing great, sweetie. Next, this is a cool one, because as we were talking about before, how we go on the business retreat thing and we make the goals, you actually also write a letter to yourself. And in my letter to myself, I've written what's next. So I'm 29 at the moment and I really want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. And I'm giving myself until literally I turn 31. So it's about 2 years. And by that time, I want to be a millionaire. But I've got a plan in place to do it, which is with the property development and the subdivision and then the off-the-plan purchase after that. So I think that I will get there. I'm very excited.
That's a huge goal.
So for those who might not have any family support available,
Yep.
what advice would you give them on starting their journey?
This is a hard one to give advice on, because obviously it's easy for me to say when I had family help. And also I haven't been in that position. But I think there's so many other ways that you can get in without family help. And I think just surrounding yourself with people who do know and using them, leaning them on them for advice is a really good way to go about it.
Yeah, cool. Well,
Hold on,
your mortgage broker.
Yeah, I was going to say, what have you got to say about that one, Ben?
yeah, well, I think just knowing all the options available to you is the biggest first step that you can take. Because if you don't know what options you have available, then it's hard to create a plan because you don't it's like driving into pitch black. You don't know where you're going. So knowing the options available is like carrying a torch with you, and then you can actually see where you're going and see how you're going to get there.
Yeah, well, and I suppose it's no different than when you wanted to buy that investment property and you were earning $45,000 and you knew this is the amount of money that you had to earn. And then I kept saying to you, as interest rates go up, okay, now you need to earn this much. Now you need to earn this amount.
Yeah, and that was so scary because I had to just keep every opportunity at work. I just had to keep pushing to try and make more and more money.
Yeah,
and you can only make so
But if you
much.
didn't know, you just would have been happy to continue on your 45,000.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah, if I didn't realise that difference, I would have never grown my income that much in that time frame.
Yeah. But then I suppose having that conversation with a broker in relation to, well, what actually is possible with me, but then you might also open up as into, it may not be, why do I just have to do it by myself? It could be another way around. It could be that maybe I have a brother or a sister that also wants to get into the property market. Maybe we could do something together. There's so many different
different pathways.
Yeah. I think if you don't have family help, just don't be disheartened because you can still get in. And it's still, a lot of people do, even though 60% of people do use their mum and dad, that's still 40% don't.
Yeah.
So it is possible.
Yeah. Ask the question. Ask the question because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And then, but also, can I also say ask the question to the right people because you may go to a bank and that bank will only know their lending policy. And not every bank does family equity. Not every bank does property shares. Not every bank is able to use government grants. So that's where you really need to have that conversation with a broker that knows their stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing your story. So if you could wrap up your story, like if your story was in a book and it was given a title, what would the title of your story be?
I just decided it would probably be Just Have Fun.
Ah, nice. Okay, I'll ask one other question.
Yeah.
If it was a movie, who do you want to play you?
Oh my God.
That's
Oh wow, that is so hard.
I know that is hard.
Probably Jonah Hill.
Oh.
He's so funny. And I feel like he would be fun.
Well, it does go with
Yeah.
the name.
And don't take things real seriously. And he was good in Wolf of Wall Street. Like he was funny and rich.
Yeah.
That's what I want to be.
Like, I'll have that.
I'll take it.
Yeah, nice. Well, yeah, thank you.
No worries.
We've got a bit of a game for
Yeah.
you.
Do you like games?
I love games.
It's a bit of
Not as much as Ben Harris.
It's a bit of a different game.
Yep.
And so you'll have two options.
Okay.
You'll have option one, which will be a big leap. So that'll be leaping into, we'll give you a scenario. The option one will be a big leap and it'll be leaping into the scenario and doing a big move, basically.
Like a big risk.
Yeah, like, it can be a big risk or just like a major move.
Okay. Yep.
Or you'll have option two, which will be a baby step. So a smaller move, maybe in a different direction, maybe in the same direction, but just a lot smaller move.
Okay, this sounds cool. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Can we have some sounds associated with it, do you think?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
play us the sounds if
Yeah.
you've
Let's
got
see
them.
what we've got.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got option one, which is
Let me press some buttons.
a big leap.
Okay, I'm going to press this one, see how we go.
Whoop!
Whoop. Okay, I like
That's our
it.
big leap.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we've got option two, which is a baby step.
Okay, let's see.
So there's our big
Okay.
leap and our baby step.
That's like a baby crying.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, let's go on to scenario one.
Let's get
Okay,
it.
let's do it.
So you've saved $10,000 and you want to get into the property market, but prices are rising quickly. Do you invest in a smaller property now, which is a big leap,
Yep.
or do you keep saving for a larger deposit, which is a baby step?
Ooh, I would take the big leap.
Big leap. Whoop!
I reckon it's good to just get your foot in the door, just get started, especially if the market's going up.
Yeah.
You've done the hard work. $10,000 is heaps. What do you guys think?
I think, yeah, that's a good idea. As long as you're doing the right, like due diligence and
Yeah.
like making sure you know the numbers on that property, then definitely getting your foot in the door early is a lot better.
And what's wrong with a small property? Because there also could be options to increase that property in value in other ways. You may be able to get there, renovate. You may be able to add another bathroom, another bedroom, and make that property actually grow in value and do better than what the other one would. So why
true.
can't we just turn that little baby step around and make it a big one off the back of it?
Yeah, why are you guys negging on the small property?
Okay, question number 2. Okay. You find a promising property to invest in, but it's in a location you don't know well.
Oh,
Do you go all in, which is the big leap,
yep.
or spend time researching and investing the area, which is the baby step?
Oh, you guys should know this one is a baby step move. Why would you buy an investment without any research? That is just an accident waiting to happen.
We've got to love the research.
Got to do the research.
So how do we do the research? What do you do?
I've told you this 8 times throughout the podcast.
Yeah, well, just tell me again.
Know your numbers. Do some research on the area, like look at recent sales, look at the rental income, like know how much that's going to cost you. And if you're Janine Harris, do a drive-by.
Yeah, gotta love the drive-by. Or go and have a chat with people around the area.
Yeah, like is it across the road from a jail? Who knows?
You don't know. You don't know until you go.
More research needed for that one.
Yeah, good one.
All right, scenario 3. You've just landed your first full-time job. Do you start a side hustle to boost your income, big leap, or focus on excelling in your new role, baby step?
Baby step. I'm sorry, but you've just started working full time. Why do you need a side hustle? You're going to be so tired.
Yeah.
Your afternoons are for Netflix, laying down, chilling, and you'll be learning so much on the job. Like, I don't think it's the right time to start a side hustle. You won't be able to put the effort into it that's needed.
No.
It'll fail.
Especially if that like career path is one that you want to go down long term.
Yeah.
You definitely want to put all your effort into that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if the full-time job is like packing shelves at Woolworths, maybe you do have the brain power to do a side hustle. But no.
No.
I'm watching Netflix.
Oh, that's good. Okay. So you've offered a chance to co-invest with a friend in an off-the-plan property, but it means stretching your finances. Do you dive in, which is the big leap, or hold off until you're in a stronger position, baby step?
This one's hard. I really want to take the big leap.
Do I press a button?
It's so hard. Like, who is this friend? What are we buying? Why is it so good? Like, there's more
Well, it doesn't
questions.
say it's so good. It just says you're offered a chance to co-invest with a friend in
Yeah.
an off-the-plan property. I don't know if it's so good or not.
I do want to invest, and I thank you for the opportunity. I want to say yes, but I need some more research, more info needed. Is there a button for that?
So what you're saying is I can't press any button because we don't know enough information.
both.
I've got to go
There you go.
Jewel,
a little bit of that with a little bit of that.
I would take the leap, but who is this friend?
Yeah, that's right. Well, how do you...
What's
how-
their credit score?
More information needed.
More
me more.
information needed. Okay.
All right, we've also got a scenario sent in by our listeners.
Oh, okay.
So
This will be
this
interesting.
scenario is good. This is a bit of an emotional scenario.
Oh, will I cry?
You won't cry, but
Okay.
it might. It could be hard for you to come up with your answer.
Yep.
So you're looking at properties online, looking at real estate or domain or wherever you find your properties,
Realestate.com for me.
and your dream house pops up. So close your eyes, picture your dream house. It's got everything. It's got all the bells and whistles.
Oh, sheesh.
Do you?
Hold on. What's it look like, Amy? What's going on in there?
Oh, it's got a pool for sure. It's major, massive. Relax.
And a spa?
Yeah, I guess I can have a spa, a water slide. Okay, go.
Okay. Do you A, take out the big loan to buy your dream property, which is the big leap, or B, buy an investment property and wait until you have the money to buy the home at a later date?
First of
Which is a baby
all,
step.
before I answer, there's no way in hell I could afford my dream home. So this would never happen. So I'm going
now,
to
you're
go
saying?
right now. So I'm going to go, actually probably ever, because they're like $50 million.
Right,
So you think I'm going to, I don't know, who knows? I'm going to go the baby step for this one.
That's this one.
Wah. I feel like at my age now, it's better to just keep building the money rather than putting it all in one basket that I'm living in too. Like, that's doing nothing for me.
Yeah. It is extremely hard to get there and clear a big, gigantic home loan debt because the only
And it's
person paying
not
for it is you.
like I've got these goals in place, which we've talked about on this podcast today. And I feel like that would just derail my whole goals.
Yeah, it would. It'd be a shame.
It's not
So
good.
I do understand why. It'd be nice.
It would be nice.
It would give you a nice warm feeling, but then you then have to pay for it every week.
Yes.
Not so warm feeling.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Well,
Maybe if I win something, like
if you're in the block houses.
yeah, if I win the
You'll
block
take those
houses,
houses?
they're drawn on like the 26th December. That would be good.
This is the second episode in a row that we brought that up.
I know we're not sponsored by them. Maybe we should hit them up. maybe if we hit him up, I'll win. Promo.
Yeah, well, that's thanks, Amy, for getting there and sharing your story. I know that it is I suppose, a bit of a challenge for you in the respect it's something that you're getting there and putting yourself out there and showing people like what you've done, and like there could be good comments, there could be bad comments off the back of it, and you're willing to just put yourself out there just so you can help other people improve and learn and just, learn from your story. So thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah,
I
no
think it
worries
was
at all.
a really good story. And like I said at the start, it's all about knowing what your options are and like being willing to take those steps.
And I think if my story can help people not be afraid to accept that help, and if that helps them get started and create this amazing life, then that's amazing.
But also I'm afraid if it can also show parents what can be achieved by that help,
Yeah, for sure.
and that how you can get there and help your kids into that next step. It's just a really nice feeling knowing that I've been able to contribute to be part of that journey.
Yeah, and thank you. It was really good. I'm very grateful.
Not a problem at all.
No
But I
worries.
hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, let's wrap it up because we're going a bit over. But thank you for sharing your story, and thanks Janine for
Thanks for
co-hosting
having
the
me.
episode. Again, if you don't know about Janine, go back to the last episode, and she shared her story. So
Yeah.
that was really good. But our next episode will be coming out in the
In
new
January,
year.
yeah.
So we're going to be off over Christmas. But
Yeah.
So Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Have a
and
great
have
New
a
Year.
happy New Year.
And although it's very cliche, I guess, you got to set those New Year's goals and make sure you're working towards those goals.
Yeah. Have a holly jolly Christmas. And enjoy your time with your family.
Yeah, have a great time,
It'll be
everyone.
amazing.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone.
Bye. This is Money Stories.
Brought to you by Amy and Ben from In Financial Services.